The NFL trade deadline is in the books. Welcome in to this edition of NFL Daily by Chat Sports. He's Jack Sperry. I'm Tyler Jones, breaking down the winners and losers from the trade deadline. Sperry, let's get started without further ado. And we begin with the San Francisco 49ers, who made a very aggressive move, adding Chase Young to the fold. All they gave up was a third-round pick to do so. The Niners have lost 3 games in a row. Now you bring in Chase Young into the fold. We already know they had a good pass rush, a former number 2 overall pick. I know he's dealt with the injuries, but considering the talent level, this is incredible value for San Francisco.
San Francisco came into the day. You knew they were going to be a little bit aggressive. It looked like they were trying to get Jaylon Johnson. The Bears end up holding on to him. But you get Chase Young, a 24-year-old that's top 5 in pressures in the National Football League right now, and you add him to a defensive line that already has Nick Bosa, last year's Defensive Player of the Year, and Javon Hargrave, one of the best interior pass rushers in the National Football League. Chase Young, somebody that's absolutely going to make an impact right away. And if they lose him in free agency this year, the 49ers are still going to get that third-round pick back in the form of a compensatory pick in 2025.
Meanwhile, on the losers list, the team on the opposite side, the Washington Commanders, they move on from Chase Young as well as Montez Sweat, and all they have to show for it is a second-round pick and a third-round pick. Sperry, not a great day to be a Commander fan.
No, it's not. I mean, you start the day pretty good, right? The Montez Sweat trade, I was completely on board with, right? It's really tough to pay both Montez Sweat and Chase Young. You're already paying Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne to big-time contracts. It just wasn't feasible. And you get a really good draft pick in exchange for Sweat services, a second-round pick that's probably going to be maybe a top 5 pick in the second round. I think that's an excellent value if you're the Washington Commanders, but then you go to the Chase Young trade with the San Francisco 49ers, and you could have gotten a third-round compensatory pick if he left in free agency. So it doesn't really make sense on the compensation end of it. I don't think GM Martin Mayhew did a very good job here. I think this move was definitely forced by Josh Harris and this new ownership group trying to rebuild this franchise. And as a result, it's just the same old Commanders stuff going on there in the nation's capital.
Our pinned comment today: who was the biggest loser from the NFL trade deadline? We think it's the Commanders. What say you? Weigh in on our pinned comment today. Let us know who you believe that is. Back to the winners list we go. That's where we find the Philadelphia Eagles. They bring in Kevin Byard, fill in a big need at the safety position. The Eagles, this is a team that has the best record in the NFL right now. Really their only weakness, they were able to take care of. Howie Roseman, once again, aggressive at the trade deadline, making a good move.
It just doesn't seem fair that Howie Roseman can keep getting away with these kinds of deals. I mean, Kevin Byard is one of the best free safeties in the National Football League, and all you have to give up is a 5th, a 6th, and Terrell Edmonds, the guy that you're giving away at this point. I mean, seriously? I just don't get it, man. The Eagles are such a well-run organization. The Titans definitely let the Eagles off the hook on this one.
And that wasn't the only trade the Eagles made. They also gave up straight the defensive lineman to Atlanta, received a 6th-round pick, and the Falcons receive a 2025 7th-round pick. Real quick on the Falcons here, they needed help on the defensive line. They got it here.
Yes, they did. I thought they might have been in play for a Montez Sweat or a Chase Young as well, but Contavious Street's going to help out in the interior or on their defensive line right now. Kind of a lower-level move here, but overall pretty good for both sides.
Back to the losers list. That's where we find the Minnesota Vikings with the biggest head-scratcher trade of all as they move on from Ezra Cleveland. And if you nerd out and look at Pro Football Focus, you may notice that Ezra Cleveland is graded out very well. He's a 70 in about every category, top 10 offensive guard in football, and he goes to the Jags for next to nothing. A 6th-round pick was all the Vikings got here. I know the Vikings brought in Dalton Reisner a couple weeks ago. Big win for the Jags, protection for Trevor Lawrence. But what on earth were the Vikings thinking?
I couldn't tell you, Tej. I mean, Minnesota, they did give up a 6th-round pick in that Joshua Dobbs trade to Arizona. They did get that 6th-round pick back with this trade of Ezra Cleveland, but I definitely think you could have probably gotten something a little bit more for Ezra Cleveland's services. Like you said, he's a top 10 grading guard in football right now. He was doing a really good job protecting Kirk Cousins this year. Now he's a Jacksonville Jaguar. He's going to be protecting Trevor Lawrence.
And the Vikings hang on to Danielle Hunter, who is in contention to be the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year right now with 10 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles. Spare Dog, I have to think that the Vikings, with the way Danielle Hunter's playing, with not trading him, an extension's got to be coming, right?
Yeah, the Vikings, I mean, if you don't trade him at the deadline here, you're already selling pieces off like Ezra Cleveland. This tells me that the Vikings absolutely plan to bring Danielle Hunter back. I mean, I've seen this guy up close and personal. I used to work security at US Bank Stadium. This guy is built like a statue. Like you said, he's in the front running here to win Defensive Player of the Year. You got to keep those players in your building if you're Minnesota. Even if a rebuild is coming, you need Danielle Hunter on the edge there up north.
More to come here on NFL Daily, but first, let's tell you about today's sponsor. That is PrizePicks, which is daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players, and on any given prop, you get the choice of more or less, whether it is passing yards, passing completions, receiving yards, catches, whatever it may be. This week on PrizePicks, and if you were playing with me on PrizePicks a couple weeks ago, we won big. We're going to win big again this week, folks. I'm putting $20 down to win $60 on Dak to have less than his given passing yard amount. Same with Josh Allen as well, with less than 270.5. Play along with PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the promo code CLNS and get a $100 deposit match. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Another trade winner, Donovan Peoples-Jones, is off to Detroit, where he gets freed from a Cleveland Browns offense where he had disappeared. Now goes to this Detroit team that is in contention. One of the better teams in the NFC. The Lions didn't have to give up a ton for him. And we know how explosive that offense is. Jared Goff's been playing some really good football. Jack, I like this restart for Donovan Peoples-Jones to not only get out of Cleveland, but to go to a team like Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Donovan Peoples-Jones, you got to be jumping for joy right now. Ben Johnson is one of my favorite offensive play callers in the game today. That Detroit Lions offense is just absolutely spectacular. They protect the quarterback well. Jared Goff is distributing the ball well. And Donovan Peoples-Jones is the type of receiver that can help them out and try to get them their first Super Bowl in franchise history. Really like this move for the Lions, and Donovan Peoples-Jones is a happy man right now.
Who's the biggest winner from the NFL trade deadline? Weigh in the comments section and give us a team or a player that comes to mind, the biggest winner. Let us know what you think. Back to the losers list, Jaylon Johnson. We began the day on Tuesday with a trade request from Jaylon Johnson wanting out of Chicago, did not want to be a member of the Bears anymore. Instead, he's still a member of the Bears. And now we head into the second half of 2023. Jaylon Johnson having a career season, the best year of his career so far. And Jax, here he is still with Chicago. Going to be a little awkward here the next few weeks.
Yeah, the Chicago Bears were actually more buyers than sellers this year at the trade deadline. They add Montez Sweat. They keep Jaylon Johnson. They shopped him around. It looked like they wanted a second-round pick. Nobody was willing to take the bait there. But Jaylon Johnson, top 10 graded corner in the National Football League right now. He's having a career year. He's still really young. He's looking like a cornerstone of that Bears defense moving forward, and that's exactly what he should be. Good job by Ryan Poles to not give him up for anything less than he's worth.
Folks, I want to make sure you subscribe to NFL Daily by Chat Sports as we're covering the National Football League each and every day with the latest news and rumors, trades, draft, free agency, and more. We are live for the trade deadline. We'll be live again for our live edition of NFL Daily on Tuesday, Red Zone Channel on Sunday. Sperry, if you are a football head, if you love the National Football League, this is the channel for you.
100%, man. We got daily NFL content right here on the channel. So if you want the latest news and rumors here around the National Football League, do me a favor, click that subscribe button right now.
And last on the winners list, the Jacksonville Jaguars. We told you earlier we really liked that trade for Ezra Cleveland, not giving up a ton. And with Trevor Lawrence and that team, here they are. They're still, without a doubt, the team to beat in the AFC South. You get him a little more protection. I know the season didn't start off the way they would have liked, but the Jags are a talented football team. They're capable of putting it together and being right up there with the best in the AFC.
Absolutely. You know, my Steelers just played the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. And, you know, the Jags didn't play their best game. Trevor Lawrence had a really bad pick in the red zone, all these different things. But the Jags seem to just find ways to win football games. And, you know, I think the Jags might be just a little bit overrated right now because the offensive line as a whole has struggled. But listen, good teams find a way to win ball games. That's what Jacksonville is doing right now. And they just added a top 10 guard in football to their lineup for a 6th-round pick. That's an excellent move. The Jaguars are better today than they were yesterday.
Last on the losers list, the Denver Broncos. Now, they did just beat the Chiefs a couple days ago. That might be some new life for that Broncos team. They didn't sell like many people expected them to, but Sperry, they didn't buy either. They kind of just stood pat. What are the Broncos doing?
I don't know. The best answer that I have for you, Tej, is that Sean Payton really does like the pieces that he has there in Denver right now. Given the way this season has started, I don't know why you would be thinking that personally. Now, I'm not in that building. I don't know as much about this team as Sean Payton does, the head coach. But it definitely seems like there were some pieces here that you could have moved, especially guys on one-year contracts that might not be signing back with you, that you could have gotten some trade capital for. You're not going to be making the playoffs this year, at least in my opinion. Now, maybe Denver thinks that they're still in the playoff hunt, and that's what they're thinking right now. But definitely a loser, in my opinion. I would have tried to get something for some of these one-year contracts that they got on their roster.
Sperry doesn't think they're a playoff team. I say hell no on the Broncos as a playoff team. You kidding me? What do you say? Let us know in the comment section. Y for yes, N for no. Let producer Sam know that you don't think the Broncos are going to be a playoff team. And, folks, we will see you next time right here on NFL Daily. He's Jack Sperry. I'm Tyler Jones. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us here for our trade deadline coverage.